Joel Went here. This is the start of a series of videos on love. It's called on my video page, Misery Loves Company. And there's a very specific reason for that. I'm setting the time here for those of you who know my video work. Okay. The basic purpose of these videos is encapsulated in the idea, the redemption of Eros. Now, why do I say that? Well, as a social philosopher, as a student of human culture, and I think that the watchers of this are going to find that this is intuitively correct, what I'm about to say. We live in a time of fallen Eros. What do I mean by that? Well, I mean that we live in a culture which is overly sexualized and somewhat deranged at the level of sexuality. Now, it isn't because people are sexual nut jobs. It's because we live in a time at the end of Western civilization, and as it falls apart, our ability to deal with certain kinds of things is affected by this, and one of the consequences of this fall of Western civilization is also that our understanding of Eros has fallen as well. You can go back in time, for example, to the time of the troubadours in Central Europe, where a very romantic, idealistic kind of love was proclaimed. And, well, everybody understands that you don't get babies without certain kind of act. The fact was that the ideas that we've had about sex and the way these are reflected in culture have changed a lot in the last 600 or 700 years, and they've changed for the worse in a lot of instances. And by worse, I mean that we've lost a sense of things, a healthy sense of things. We've lost a sense of ourselves. For example, I read recently on the internet, I think it's on Alternet, an article by a psychologist about the differences between men and women with regard to making love. And most of the information this writer used was based on the conception, influenced by Darwinian evolution, that we're advanced animals, and that as advanced animals, we carry within our nature a lot of things that one can observe in animals. And so in seeking to help her or his, I can't remember whether the psychologist was a man or a woman, but in seeking to help the clients, the psychologist used a lot of ideas based on having a picture in his or her mind that the human being is an animal, and by understanding the sex life of animals, we gain something when we turn to helping the human being. And that's an instance of the fallen nature of our culture with regard to sexuality and love. It's a sad thing. It's an unquiet thing. It's a disturbing thing. And it's no wonder that relationships have the kind of problems that they have. And at the same time, it's a wonder that people manage anyway to fall in love, to be in love, and to love. Now, these videos will get into sort of very practical things. For example, I can make a statement with a certain scientific surety. Of course, it's not absolutely true in all instances, but it's generally true, and it's worth understanding. That's very useful, and this statement would be that women are warmed up from the inside out, and men are warmed up from the outside in. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, I mean some very specific things. But if you're in a relationship with a man or a woman, it's going to make a difference how you understand this other human being. And so that's what these videos are about. These videos are about understanding. Okay, understanding ourselves, understanding the people that we're drawn to, understanding the civilization in which all this goes on. And this is pretty basic stuff. This is pretty important stuff. And for sure, if you know anything about my video work and the background to me, or you're going to find out in these videos, I approach the whole situation from a spiritual point of view. Now, let's sort of highlight that. I got a few minutes here before I have to stop and make the break for the next video, but let's deal with that a little bit. We live in a time where what natural science claims is that we're just matter and there is no spirit. And there's big arguments going on. You got the new atheists running around legitimately upset with what institutional religious people are doing and saying, look, you know, if there's a God, give me some evidence. And okay, that's part of what's going to be here. It's going to be some evidence of the existence of God. But I'm not going to make an argument out of it. I'm just going to talk about normal human things and about love and sex and all the rest of that. And maybe you'll realize that the fact that I use spiritual concepts to arrive at the understanding I'm trying to help people have about sex and love, that there's some truth there. That's all. Let's not make too big a deal out of it. Let's not make that we have to conclude God exists or doesn't exist. Let's just realize that human beings, which we are complicated. And that these complications enter into everything that goes on that we talk about with regard to sex and romance and love and attachment and loss. And in order to sort of navigate the minefield of that, we need to be able to think with clarity about things. And from my perspective, as somebody who's nearly 70 years old and has had a lot of experience, this is based on experience, folks. This isn't based on sitting in an ivory tower somewhere, contemplating my navel and going, and reading all these books. I've got a lot of life experiences behind this, and because I'm a philosopher by bent or tendency or whatever you want to say, what that really means is I think about this stuff. So I've thought about this stuff, and I've written about this stuff, and I'm going to talk about this stuff. And, you know, the only judgment I need you to make that watch these videos is, are you getting anything out of it that helps you understand yourself and your love life? And, of course, there's more to it than you might think. I'll be back soon.